going on, everybody? This is Moose, co-founder here at OccupyFantasy.com. Here with our other co-founder, Brian, at BrianJesterFF on Twitter. Here to talk to you about some MLB DFS picks and lineup advice for this April 5th slate. Again, we're here from OccupyFantasy.com. So, Brian, how's it going, man?
What's up, Moose? Exciting week, dude. So we got MLB and NHL every single day. We have the College Basketball National Championship tonight. We have the Masters on Thursday. Big contest everywhere you look. UFC, after a week break, is back on Saturday. We got trades happening in the NFL. It's a hell of a sports week.
Yeah, it's definitely insane. Plus, you can't forget golf. Like the literally one time I watch golf ever is the Masters. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. But we're not here to talk about any of that. We're here to talk about some MLB. Pats, Caps, Red. Welcome to Discord access only. Awesome. Solid Picks is here. Nick T Nasty. What's up, everybody? We're gonna be here for about 30 minutes, about 5:45 maybe, breaking down MLB for DraftKings and FanDuel. I guess Yahoo as well. If you're like Brian, going on his 0 to 10K challenge, which is always fun to watch and listen to his articles every week or so. Let's just jump into it. Solid Picks has a question. Says, any reason why I shouldn't play DeGrom on FanDuel other than ownership?
Yeah, I mean, ownership would literally be the only reason. So right now, our ownership just came into the model. I guess we could go over to the model moves if you want, but DeGrom projected 55% over on FanDuel, which is pretty nutty. Yeah. But the thing is, I'm just pulling up on my side here, has the highest money line by a wide margin. 50 cents higher than the next closest at minus 162 for Dustin May of the Dodgers. The Phillies have the lowest opposing team total on the slate, and DeGrom has the highest strikeout projection on the slate. So, from a FanDuel perspective, like, this is the guy you want. High win chances, probably going to go 6 innings, get the quality start, rack up some Ks. And fortunately, Moose, there are some under-the-radar stacks that don't really correlate with how the team totals are ranked tonight. So I think if you play DeGrom, you can play some under-the-radar stacks and be different. So if I was just playing a single lineup, I would probably go DeGrom, despite my contrarian nature.
Yeah, and as we talk about it in literally every single sport, people aren't stacking the way they should be. So if you're doing even just a 4-4 stack, you do some of these teams that necessarily don't have the team total increases, the high money lines, you're going to be able to get unique with DeGrom at pitcher. And Brian, let's jump over to some of those stacks as well. If we can go to the stack dashboard actually for that here. And since we were talking about FanDuel, we can do the slate for the FanDuel main. And some of the stacks that pop off: Boston, the Mets, Rays, Milwaukee. I mean, Milwaukee with a minus 0.13 team total move, but they do have the reverse line movement check. High ISO, low WOBA, which is something you would want to see in a high-risk contest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the Dodgers, who have the highest team total of the main slate at 5.3 runs. You look at the Padres, 5.05 runs. And you look at the Angels, 5.04 runs. All three of these teams rank outside of the top 5 of our stack dashboard, which means it is a perfect slate to either go high risk or pair with a popular pitcher. So if you play any of these top stacks, Boston, the Mets, Tampa Bay, Milwaukee, they're not going to be likely in the top 3 in ownership. So that's plenty enough for any contest type.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree with you there. So that's definitely a good way to go. Nick says, favorite cheap stack to pair with the Mets on FanDuel.
Let me see here. I'm not building for FanDuel tonight, but some of the cheaper stacks, I think, I know Tampa Bay is probably pretty cheap. Milwaukee's lineup just came out, and they're starting Kevin Pillar at leadoff, and I think he's pretty cheap, so you can fit them in as well. And then the Giants also, I assume, are pretty universally cheap. They have one of the highest team total moves of the slate at nearly 0.35 runs. So those are the teams I would look at to pair with the Mets. If you can get Boston, our top stack, even better. They do have some cheap options that you can go with, but those other 3 teams are probably the best.
Yeah, and as Chris, our MLB writer, pointed out, the Mets are the cheap stack. So.
That's true. They do have a bunch of cheap guys. But I guess, yeah, if you're playing DeGrom, it gets pretty sticky pretty quickly, Moose.
Yeah, it's nothing worse than you have, like, I think my lineup's going well so far, and then you look and it's like average salary remaining per player 1750, and it's like, God damn, I gotta rethink the whole thing.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
totally sucks.
yeah, definitely not fun. So I'm gonna jump back over to the plug here for a little bit, and I'm gonna scroll way down here and look at some of these top stacks. And the way it's written in the plug, in terms of ranking, OF index, ISO, weighted on base average, implied team total. And when you get someone like Boston, who's first, and then ninth, so
Yes.
meaning they meet all of our high risk criteria in the model, because the model is built for high risk. Yet their team total isn't the highest, not top 5, not barely in the top 10. That's a very, very good high risk stack that you can put in. Usually has less ownership. Usually can be one of those sneaky stacks that can shoot you up the leaderboard.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what you look for. Like that's the perfect combination of numbers there in this stack format. 1-1-1, top off index, top ISO, top weighted on base average. But the betting markets don't agree, and that's not always going to happen. And when we do, we get the perfect leverage opportunity. And like I was saying earlier, you see the Rays, they have the 4th highest team total. The Brewers, the 7th highest team total. The top 3 team total, or the top 3 teams in terms of team total, aren't the top stacks according to our eyes. And we have that difference. Yeah, we could be wrong. And in fact, in high risk contests, we likely are wrong. But the fact is, when we are right, not many other people are going to have those stacks. And that's how you win those 100-player leagues and get to the top of the GPPs.
Yep. Our MLB writer Chris just told me to refresh. So instead of 1119, it's 1126. Still fits the bill, I think, for us.
Yeah, it's the same concept. Yep, same exact concept.
Yep, absolutely. And then, like I said, we talked about the Mets being the cheap stack, and it can be a little bit difficult to play them. I'm gonna take that back. But it can be a little bit tricky to play them when they're so highly owned, so cheap, and fit literally every metric. I know we talked about the Mets a little bit earlier, but the blue update here, they're top 3 in literally every metric. So be careful how you play them.
And every 8 of their 9 hitters are, or at least 8 of their, all but one of their top players are $2,500 or less on FanDuel. So, like Chris was saying in the chat, they are the cheap stack. So really affordable, really flexible, and options up and down the lineup. So a variety of ways to stack them to fit them with your other stack that you're pairing them with.
Yep, absolutely. I do just want a quick shout out to Pat's Caps Reds again. That's a tough name to say. He joined for Discord access only. Went ahead and he hit the join button down below, and that gives him access, paying just a few dollars a month, get access to our Discord channel, which not only me, Brian, and the rest of the Occupy staff, but all of our members as well, always chatting it up, talking about all the different sports. Absolutely great resource. So if you don't want to get the Occupy subscription, worst you can do is get access to the Discord for a few dollars a month and talk to us about some of the best stacks and plays, because we're always chatting it up in there. Cool. Let's jump over. Let's go down the list, Brian, for the other stacks that are written up. The Rays and the Brewers. Do any of those stand out to you here? I know you primarily are playing on DraftKings tonight. Any of them stick out for you on DraftKings that you're playing?
I think so. So for the Rays, I think it's an interesting discussion because this just on in every way looks like a high risk slate, because Nick Pivetta in the model is the 4th highest ranked pitcher. However, he's facing the Rays. And if you're new to the model or you're new to baseball, you might say, how the hell do you have a team and the opposing pitcher ranked in the top 4 on a slate, right? Obviously, don't play them in the same lineups together, but it goes to show that both of these sides, both the pitcher for the Red Sox and the Rays hitting, have a wide range of outcomes. And Pivetta has the 3rd highest strikeout projection on the slate, but one of the highest ISOs and WOBAs allowed. And so if you actually look in the model, most the Rays, I think all of their hitters meet our thresholds that we look for in those metrics. So either Pivetta's going to go out and K a bunch of dudes, or he's going to get rocked. No in between. Well, maybe there's an in between, and everyone loses. But in all likelihood, if you play Pivetta, you're hoping for those Ks. If you play the Rays stack, you're hoping that he doesn't strike people out and he's giving up hard hit balls. So again, just another reason to play high risk tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And then I'm just curious, Brian, and we talked about DeGrom basically being the first player you should just lock in tonight. But if for some reason you're not playing DeGrom, is there someone else that you think you would fit in? I'll actually bring up the pitcher's dashboard as well. And I'll kick it over to DraftKings here, the DraftKings main slate. You get rid of DeGrom. Who's your next best? Who's your next option that you think you're fitting in?
So, Luis Garcia is one to be cautious about.
Mm-hmm.
He actually started the day number 2 in the model. But look at the opposing team total. The Angels team total is up a half run, plus 0.5 runs. And Garcia is their 5th starter. Didn't pitch much in spring training. I'd be surprised if he goes more than 5 innings. I think 5 innings is probably his limit. Like, you're looking at a 1% scenario where he goes 6 innings and gets a quality start on FanDuel. So for me, I know he's super cheap. Maybe on DraftKings, super high risk. I'll play him just to fit into DeGrom or some other expensive players. I wouldn't play him. So if I'm not going DeGrom, I think the next easy option is Dustin May, or if you're going high risk, Pavetta with the line moves, team total move, and the strikeout potential.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's close, but we really want to look for people who have that K per innings pitch estimated over 1, and right now just 3. But outside of Luis Garcia, really only 2 fit that with Pavetta and DeGrom. DeGrom has just an absolute monster. Just literally everything just fits for DeGrom right now. It's very, very tough to fit anyone else in or pivot to someone else.
I will say that. I will say it's kind of it is interesting though, right? It's not like we see DeGrom with, that Scherzer streak where Scherzer had OF index over 20 like every single time he was on the mound. DeGrom's still not in elite territory as far as OF index goes. Elite is 17 or higher. For those who have been around the model for a while, he's only at 15.8. Now that's still 2.6 OF index points higher than the next closest pitcher, but Moose, for whatever reason, the model doesn't think he's an absolute lock tonight. So I think if you are looking for reasons to fade him, the ownership, and plus, I guess it is a terrible slate for pitching. So he definitely stands out from that regard. But Moose, if you're looking at just pure in a vacuum OF index numbers, he's not an absolute smash play.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing like, 3 years ago, whatever, Scherzer would pop up with like 21, and the next person would be like 14, and he would just get 16 strikeouts a game.
That was fun. Nuts.
Yeah, that was nuts. He'd be like minus 160, and everyone would just hammer the hammer him every time. It ended up closing like 200. Those are some fun days.
Over 9.5 Ks minus 160, hammer it. He's 14, 15 Ks. They couldn't set the line high enough.
No, eventually they just took it off the board. Just didn't care anymore.
Yeah. The other guy I do like, Moose, is Carlos Rodon, who, you and I were just updating the model this morning. He hasn't pitched a lot in recent years, but, former top prospect. The model likes him a bit here. The betting markets like him. The opposing team total for Seattle has gone down about a 1/5 of a run, and we know he has a little bit of strikeout upside. Definitely a wide range of outcomes, but he is super cheap, and I think if you're going down to that bottom of the barrel, I think he's one of the better options.
Okay, cool. While we're waiting for some more questions, and if you all have some questions, or if you all want to say what stacks y'all are playing or have a lot of exposure to, go ahead and put it in the chat below. I'm really curious to see what you all are on tonight. I will just go ahead and switch it back over to the batters really quick. And I know we like to talk about some of our dong calls of the night, who's going to hit these home runs, these cheap guys. So we can do that while we're waiting for some people to hop in the chat. And what do we normally classify as a cheap play? Like 4K on DraftKings?
Yeah, I think 4K on DraftKings. Anything under 3K on FanDuel probably fits the bill for cheap.
Cool. And then just by sorting by ISO, and we'll go to the DraftKings main slate here. See a couple people here. It looks like, again, Mets are just super sneaky. Just everyone in the Mets just popping to the top of this model when you sort by ISO.
Yeah, dude. Mets are a good stack tonight. And again, team total just under 5, so they might go a little under the radar, especially on DraftKings. FanDuel probably not with their pricing. But Alonso, Pilar, who got the unexpected start, JD Davis batting 5th. McCann's a guy I like, especially on FanDuel, right, where you don't have to play a catcher. Playing a catcher is an easy way to get unique, especially if they have high upside. But yeah, McCann's relatively cheap, batting 7th. I mean, tons of guys. Like, they have like five or six guys in the top 30 of the model.
Yeah, it's nuts. But yeah, so I would say probably, you talked about catcher. Let's see if there's anyone that kind of stands out for me. I'll go maybe Tom Murphy. Might hit a home run tonight. I'll call him batting eighth. I love my hitters at the bottom of the order.
Tom Murphy, yeah, 292 ISO for Mr. Murphy. Most generic creative player name ever, Tom Murphy. Yeah, he's mad cheap. $2,500 DraftKings, 2,300 FanDuel. If you're playing on Yahoo, he's minimum $7. I think he's actually a value play listed in the plug. Yeah, Tom Murphy going against I think it's Carlos Rodon tonight. Yeah, against Rodon. So yeah, I like Murphy as a cheap catching option. That's a good call there.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone you want to put on blast who's going to hit the home run tonight?
I will go with. Let me see here. I think I'm going to go top of the model with Pete Alonso, and if you're looking for a cheap guy to hit a home run, I'm just going to go FanDuel under 3K on my side.
Okay.
I'll say Pilar. Like, people weren't expecting him to start. He'll probably still be popular as a cheap leadoff hitter. But I got to say Pilar. 2,500 FanDuel, $3,400 DraftKings. Yeah, give me Kevin Pilar and Pete Alonso as the home run calls.
Okay. Nice. I dig that. Solid pick says, do you have any interest on the Giants?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard the answer earlier when Nick was asking about cheap stacks to pair with some of these other stacks. Yeah, I think the Giants are up there. They're top 6 or 7 in the stack dashboard, and they have a few guys that rank pretty highly in the model. If we look just at San Francisco, we have Longoria, who's still around and kicking, Mike Yastrzemski, Austin Slater. The list gets really weird after that. Mauricio Dubon. But a bunch of guys, and actually, I think 5 or 6 of their guys meet the ISO threshold, so San Francisco definitely fits the bill.
Yep, definitely. And then he also says the White Sox versus the lefty was pretty good last year. How about tonight?
Yeah, so that's something you have to be careful about because personnel changes, coaches change, new season, different matchups. The model takes all that into account, thankfully. And we like a lot of the guys. Not even a lot, though. I wouldn't say Chicago. We were on Chicago Moose the first few days of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Now in a different series against the Mariners, only a couple guys here: Luis Robert, Jose Abreu, Yasmani Grandal, and I guess Mercedes, who is out of nowhere. I don't even. He's a guy at the beginning of the year. We get these guys every year, most because we don't follow baseball as closely in the offseason. We get a guy who's, this guy's starting on opening day. And it's like, I've literally never heard of this guy. But you remember Mercedes has been pretty cheap and done pretty well. And he's the fourth and final option that meets the ISO threshold for the White Sox tonight.
Yeah, so they could be a sneaky stack that shoots you up the leaderboard.
Absolutely. And, I will say, though, if we're looking for reasons to play, if the model and the betting markets don't like it, right? White Sox don't rank that highly, and we see them with a minus 0.31 team total move moose. That's usually bad signs.
Yeah, you're right. But if you're doing, a big, if you're doing 150 max or something, I see you could sneak them in there.
Oh yeah, I think 152, especially if you're playing them as like a 2 or 3 man stack.
Yeah.
You get Luis Robert, Jose Abreu in there, that's fine. 5-man stack in the White Sox maybe too much, but depends on your risk tolerance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or if you're doing like FanDuel, you're doing or drafting the one off. Maybe you just have them as your one offs.
True.
Just sprinkle them around. So that's definitely something that you could do. All right, cool. So we're here for about 10 more minutes. Brian, what else do you want to talk about?
So we talked about stacks. We talked about pitching. Let's talk about weather tonight. Yeah. It's always an issue early in the season. So let's go over the weather dashboard and see what it's looking like.
Perfect. So I have the weather dashboard up here. And if we sort by weather rating, again, there's not a single park that has a positive weather impact today, which is not good.
Yeah, not great. And I think someone mentioned in the chat, I think it was Solid Picks maybe, saying, a lot of people are playing the Cubs tonight because of the wind blowing out. Granted, it's only... In our model, it's barely over 10. I don't even think it's at 10 miles per hour blowing out to left field. It's still only 64 degrees there. They still get a negative boost. Really, if you're looking to play tonight, the weather's not really going to become a factor because the only neutral weather games were this afternoon. Every other game, like you said, minus 5% or more. So hopefully that's an edge we can take advantage of.
Yeah, and some things that people may overlook is wind's blowing out to left field. Okay, well, about 30% of hits will only go to left field. So really, that boost is only 1/3 of what people make it out to be. So they're definitely over exaggerating the wind boost out and in and stuff. So definitely something else to keep in mind.
Yeah, we'll see because we'll see that early in the year a lot, right? Most if you see wind blowing out, and people's like, "Oh, I got to play these stacks." Well, it's 30 degrees in Detroit. Like, it doesn't matter if the wind's blowing out. You know,
Yeah.
it could be 30 miles an hour blowing out. It's still 30 degrees. And so looking at the air density index in the model here, the ADI column and the temperature can really help you that, or just the overall the weather column on the right there. So yeah, hopefully people play the Cubs a little too much because we can play some other stacks here that look pretty good. Because even though it's cold in Boston, remember the model takes that into account, Moose, and we still have Boston, Tampa Bay ranked as some of our top stacks despite the weather there. So God forbid they were playing in a decent weather game.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it would. Yeah, that you would be betting the over there very quickly.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Definitely. So, cool. Excuse me. What's up, Ken? He says, "What's up, guys? Early on in the season, but have we seen anything new that may be different from last year?"
I haven't seen too much yet. We're always keeping an eye on that kind of thing. We're still obviously very early into the season. The one thing, Moose, I guess that we've noticed is Ohtani, if he stays healthy, he's going to continue to hit and pitch, but we don't get the freaking hitting points when he's on the mound.
That actually just makes like literally zero sense to me.
I know, man.
Like you would think,
especially in showdown, like in showdown for sure. Come on.
Yeah, definitely do it for showdown, but he'll also be literally 100% owned every slate when he pitches.
I mean that's true too. You'd have to, but just make him like 20K in showdown and force people to make a decision.
Just literally just do Ohtani and 4 min price relief pitchers.
Yeah,
Ohtani
and 5 relievers.
just get 70 points from him and then all zeros from everyone else.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, while we're on the subject, we have a couple minutes here. Yeah. The Sunday Night Baseball big showdown slate was last night. I know a couple of our members had success especially on FanDuel, just rolling out some of the top plays. And we've gotten this question a few times about playing relievers on DraftKings. If you didn't know it was a thing, it's kind of like a hidden secret where if you're playing DraftKings Showdown, you uncheck the box under the player pool that says hide pitchers that aren't projected to start or whatever, and it gives you access to every pitcher in the bullpen. And Musa, there's conflicting information out there, but we found for a fact that playing relievers is definitely a positive EV move in Showdown.
Yeah, because again, it helps you fit in some of these more expensive bats, and if they get a 0, I mean, your batter can get a 0 as well. But if you can get a min price person, you look up the bullpen information. He gets 2-3 Ks and an inning pitch. You're looking at what, 10 double-digit points, something like that. And they're always going to be less than 5% owned. That would really shoot you up a leaderboard.
I mean, literally always, right? It's funny because you'll have a relief pitcher who's probably going to pitch, maybe doesn't pitch, has an expectation of 3 to 10 points. I guess where you get really tilted when they do get in the game, you're excited and they give up a couple hits and runs and they score negative. But sub 5% ownership, yet the number 8 or number 9 hitter at $500 more is like 30% owned.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, that's still a bad play. So long story short, if you're playing Showdown over on DraftKings, play 1 to 2 relief pitchers depending on the slate. Really helps you fit in the top captains and top hitters and some of the pitchers. And like Ken says in Showdown yesterday, Iglesias as a reliever put up 10 points, which is just massive at that ownership and that price. Because the point is, we've talked about this and other things, right? Even if he doesn't do that well, or even honestly, we've seen GPPs won in Showdown MLB with a reliever scoring 0. And there was actually 1 or 2 instances last year where someone won Showdown with 2 zeros from relievers. So Moose is really about what they allow you to do with the rest of your lineup.
Yeah, definitely. And looks like Carl missed the home run prediction really quick. So I'm just going to go back here and go back to the batter stat. Who did you say your home run call was?
Pete Alonso for the Mets for me.
Let's see. I'm trying to remember who I did. It was a cheap guy. It was for San Francisco. Oh, no, it was Tom Murphy for Seattle.
Yep, catcher for Seattle.
Yep. Random creative player guy. So. Perfect. Cool. So 5 more minutes. I do just want to say for everyone here, if you like what you saw, you want to see more, go ahead and hit the like button down below. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit the subscribe button to be notified of any new videos or anything else that we upload here, any new live streams. And again, if you want to join the Discord, go ahead and hit the join button. Pay a few bucks a month to get access to our Discord channel. Cool. Any last thoughts or anything else you want to talk about, Brian?
Solid Picks asked in the chat, Walsh is picking up ownership. Would you fade? I think in high risk for sure. So Jared Walsh, if you want to filter him out of the model moves, Jared Walsh for the Angels. Nope, he's confirmed. The lineup is out. He's hitting second, just $2,200 on FanDuel, 233 ISO, team total 5 runs. That's moved a half run since open. Definitely one of the best low risk plays you can find. Right, number 2 hitter, high ISO, team total move, boom. But if you're not stacking the Angels, I think it's probably a good fade. I imagine a lot of people will one off him, Pilar, those types of guys. Moose, we see that a lot in FanDuel, especially where these cheap leadoff or top third of the order guys, they get one-offed, or maybe people mini stack them, but they do it too often. So if you're not stacking the Angels, I'd probably avoid.
Makes sense to me.
In high risk.
Yeah, definitely. Makes sense to me. Cool. So. No worries, Carl. He says, "Sorry, I'm late." No, it's all good, Carl. Cool. So I think that'll pretty much wrap it up, though. Brian, do you have any last words or anything you want to say before I take us out of here?
No, I think that's it. Just we have a lot of people here in the Discord and watching these shows and reading the plug that are new to baseball. Just remind everyone to read the free strategy guide we have at OccupyFantasy.com. It's linked in the daily plug. It's linked to the top of the models. It's linked in the guides link in the main menu at the top of the site. Again, it's free to read. It talks about the metrics to use when picking your lineups that the model takes into account, and then optimal stacking approach. Again, stack as much as you can in baseball, in mostly all contest types. So take that into account. It rarely comes down to, do you like this player or this player better, or this player or this player better. It's really, how much can I stack and which stacks do we like?
Yep. And to answer Carl's question, Brian, I don't know if you want to expand on it more, but what's better, WOBA or ISO? WOBA is better for low risk. ISO is better for high risk.
Yeah, that's the short answer. The long answer, weighted on base average is a little bit better for low risk contests because it takes into account walks. Which, any points you can get in low risk is great. Isolated power is more so for those extra base hits, which are key to winning tournaments. So it depends on the contest you're playing.
Yep, definitely. Cool. So, all right, with that being said, until next time, this is Moose and Brian from OccupyFantasy.com. Have a good night.
Peace.